Title: The Mafia Boss Thought. The chubby florist was crying over him. She was memorizing his enemy's license plate. Core hook. A shy, full-of-figured Manhattan florist walks into a luxury hotel suite, carrying white roses, and accidentally witnesses a meeting involving one of New York's most feared mafia bosses. When tears fill her eyes, he assumes she is frightened of him. But she isn't crying over the men in the room. She is forcing herself to memorize 3 license plates she glimpsed outside, and one of them belongs to a vehicle connected to someone the boss trusts completely. Female-led. Emily Carter, 29. A fuller-figured Manhattan florist with a soft, round face, expressive brown eyes, naturally curly dark hair, usually tied into a practical low bun, and an ordinary warmth that makes people underestimate how sharply she observes the world around her. Mafia Boss Adrian Moretti, 39. The controlled and intimidating head of the Moretti organization, whose legitimate empire includes luxury hotels, commercial real estate, logistics companies, and private security contracts throughout New York. Her hidden value: exceptional visual memory. Emily remembers patterns, colors, numbers, faces, vehicle details, room layouts, and small visual inconsistencies with extraordinary accuracy. Her main problem: after identifying suspicious vehicles connected to Adrian's organization, Emily becomes the only independent witness to evidence suggesting that someone inside his inner circle is quietly engineering a betrayal. Why he initially underestimates her. Adrian sees an anxious florist standing in the wrong room at the wrong time and assumes she is an ordinary civilian overwhelmed by his dangerous world. The moment she shocks him, Emily calmly recites 3 complete license plates from memory, including one belonging to a vehicle secretly connected to Adrian's supposedly loyal lieutenant, Vincent Rinaldi. Why they must keep seeing each other. The first thing Emily Carter noticed about the 3 black vehicles outside the Belmont Hotel was that they were trying too hard to look unrelated. One was a Cadillac Escalade parked beside a hydrant. Another was a Mercedes sedan waiting beneath the shadow of a construction scaffold. The third, a black Lincoln Navigator, moved slowly through the intersection before disappearing around West 53rd Street. Different models, different drivers, different positions, but each had the same small silver sticker in the lower corner of the windshield. Emily saw it while climbing out of the delivery van, with 48 white garden roses balanced against her chest. She saw the plates too. New York, Clear 7294. New Jersey, 81 MGX. New York, JFB 4417. She repeated them silently. Clear 7294. 81 MGX. JFB 4417. Then she adjusted the flowers and walked into the hotel. 23 minutes later, those numbers would become more valuable than anything inside the building, and one of the most dangerous men in New York would mistake the tears in her eyes for fear. The Belmont occupied almost an entire Manhattan block, all pale stone, brass doors, black marble, and employees trained to recognize wealth before it introduced itself. Emily looked spectacularly out of place. She was 29, fuller-figured, 5'5", with dark curls pinned into a practical bun that had begun escaping around her cheeks after 6 hours of deliveries. Her green florist apron covered a simple cream blouse and black pants. There was a faint streak of soil near one wrist. Nobody would have confused her with one of the women drifting through the lobby in designer dresses. Emily preferred it that way. People ignored florists. People ignored delivery workers. People especially ignored chubby women carrying something heavy. It had taught her more about human beings than she sometimes wanted to know. Presidential suite, she told the concierge. Moretti arrangement. The man's expression changed almost imperceptibly. That interested her. He checked the order twice before calling upstairs. Then security appeared. Not hotel security. These men wore better suits. One examined the flowers. Another examined Emily. "Is that necessary?" she asked. "Yes." "Good talk." His mouth almost moved. Almost. Eventually, they escorted her to the private elevator. Emily assumed the client was a celebrity, politician, billionaire, or some unfortunate combination of all 3. She had delivered flowers to wealthy people before. Wealth had habits. So did fear. When the elevator doors opened on the 38th floor, she immediately realized this was fear. 2 men stood in the corridor. A third waited near the suite entrance. Nobody spoke unnecessarily. Emily tightened her hands around the vase. Where do you want these? Inside. She followed. The suite looked less like a hotel room than an apartment designed for someone who wanted Manhattan available beneath his windows without having to participate in it. Then she heard a man's voice. Low. Controlled. You changed the route without authorization. Emily stopped. 4 men sat around a dining table beyond the living room. A 5th stood near the windows. He was the one speaking. Adrian Moretti. Emily didn't know his name yet, but she understood immediately that everyone else in the room was waiting for his reaction. He looked close to 40, tall, broad-shouldered, dark-haired, wearing a charcoal suit without a tie. Nothing about him was flashy. That somehow made him more intimidating. A man opposite him started explaining. The Holland Tunnel situation forced. No. One word. The room became silent. Adrian rested one hand against the back of a chair. The tunnel reopened 40 minutes before your convoy moved. The other man's face tightened. Emily wished somebody would tell her where to put the roses. Then Adrian looked at her. The interruption lasted perhaps 2 seconds, but every man at the table followed his gaze. Emily suddenly had the deeply unpleasant experience of becoming the most interesting object in a room full of dangerous strangers. Flowers, she said. Nobody responded. She lifted the vase slightly. For Mr. Moretti. Adrian's eyes moved toward the arrangement. Put them there. He indicated a console table. Emily crossed the room. That was when she noticed the man seated nearest the windows. Silver watch, navy suit, red mark beside his left thumb, and a key fob resting near his coffee. The fob carried the same tiny silver emblem she had seen on the windshields outside. Emily stared half a second too long. The man noticed. Their eyes met. He casually closed his hand over the key. Something cold moved through her stomach. Emily turned toward the flowers. Don't stare. Don't react. She placed the arrangement down. Thank you, Adrian said. She nodded. Then something happened outside the window. Far below, the black Lincoln Navigator emerged from the intersection again. Emily could see only part of it between buildings. JFB 441. The plate flashed in sunlight. She automatically repeated all 3 numbers. Kliar 7294. 81 MGX. JFB 4417. Her eyes began watering. It was an old habit. When Emily concentrated intensely, especially on strings of numbers, she sometimes forgot to blink. Her mother used to tease her about it when she was a child. Emily. Adrian's voice interrupted the pattern. She looked at him. He had read her name from the embroidery on her apron. His expression had changed. Not softer exactly, more cautious. You can leave. Emily realized tears had slipped down both cheeks. Wonderful. Now she looked terrified. I'm fine. You don't need to explain. I wasn't. Marco. One of the guards approached. Take Miss Carter downstairs. The man with the silver watch watched her. Emily looked at him once more, then at the key fob. He smiled. It wasn't friendly. Emily left. Inside the elevator, Marco pressed the lobby button. You okay? Yes. You don't look okay. My eyes water when I concentrate. He glanced at her. On what? Emily hesitated. Then the elevator doors opened. Nothing. She walked through the lobby, loaded the empty delivery container into her van, and drove back toward Chelsea. She had almost convinced herself to forget the entire thing when she saw the Cadillac again. Kliar 7294. It was parked half a block from her flower shop. Emily's hands tightened around the steering wheel. That was not coincidence. She kept driving. At the next light, she checked her mirror. The Cadillac pulled out. Emily's heart began pounding. She made a right. The Cadillac followed. She made another. Still there. By the time she reached 8th Avenue, she knew. Someone was following her. And for the first time that afternoon, Emily actually became afraid. Adrian Moretti didn't think about the florist again until Marco entered the suite 15 minutes later. The florist is being followed. Adrian looked up. By whom? We don't know. The meeting stopped. Vincent Rinaldi, the man with the silver watch, leaned back. Probably nothing. Adrian looked at him. Vincent had worked for him for 11 years. He had negotiated labor agreements, settled disputes, protected Moretti properties through 3 investigations and 2 attempts by rival organizations to seize their freight contracts. Adrian trusted very few people. Vincent was one of them. Why would anyone follow a florist? Adrian asked. Vincent shrugged. She walked into a room she shouldn't have. She delivered flowers. She saw faces. So do waiters. Vincent spread his hands. Then maybe Marco is wrong. Marco wasn't. Adrian knew that before checking the security feed. The Cadillac appeared on 3 traffic cameras after Emily left, then disappeared. Bring her back. Vincent frowned. Adrian. Now. 20 minutes later, Emily Carter walked into the suite again. This time she wasn't carrying flowers. And she wasn't crying. She was furious. You had absolutely no right to put me in that car. Adrian remained standing near the windows. We removed you from someone else's car. You boxed in my delivery van with 2 SUVs. Yes. That's called kidnapping in several states. You voluntarily entered. After one of your men told me the Cadillac following me might contain people who wanted to hurt me. Adrian considered this persuasive information. Marco looked away, hiding something suspiciously close to amusement. Emily planted both hands on her hips. Adrian studied her more carefully than he had earlier. She was not glamorous. There was nothing polished or calculated about her. Her cheeks were flushed with anger. Her curls were falling loose. Her florist apron was still tied around her waist, and she was looking at him as though his reputation had somehow failed to arrive before he did. You were frightened earlier, he said. Emily blinked. What? When you were here? No. You were crying. I was memorizing license plates. Silence. Adrian's expression did not change. Vincent's did. Only slightly. Emily saw it. Adrian did too. What license plates? The vehicles outside. What vehicles? 3 black ones. Marco stepped forward. We checked the hotel exterior cameras. 2 were disabled during that period. Emily turned toward him. The one facing 53rd and the camera over the service entrance? Marco stared. How did you know? I saw them when I arrived. Neither status light was on. Adrian's attention sharpened. What were the plates? Emily looked directly at him. KLR 7294. New York Cadillac Escalade. Marco reached for his phone. V81 MGX. New Jersey Mercedes S-Class. He typed JFP 4417. New York Lincoln Navigator. Marco stopped typing. Vincent became very still. Emily continued. The Cadillac had a scrape above the rear passenger wheel. About 8 inches. The Mercedes had temporary dealership paper in the lower left corner of the back window. The Navigator's left brake light was dimmer than the right. Nobody spoke. Adrian looked at Marco. Run them. Marco left immediately. Adrian turned back to Emily. How long did you look at those vehicles? I don't know. Seconds. And you remember all that? Yes. Why? She frowned. Why what? Why do you remember? Because I saw them. That isn't normal. Emily folded her arms. Neither is surrounding a flower van with SUVs, but we're apparently accepting unusual behavior today. Something changed in Adrian's eyes. Not amusement, but close. Vincent stood. This is wasting time. Emily looked toward him. Her eyes dropped to his hand, then to his jacket. You had the same sticker. Vincent stopped. Adrian turned slowly. What? The silver sticker, Emily said. On your key fob. Vincent's face hardened. She's confused. No, I'm not. Emily pointed toward the table. When I delivered the roses, your key was beside your coffee. Black rectangular fob, silver emblem in the lower corner. Same emblem as the windshield stickers. Vincent laughed once. You're accusing me based on a sticker? I didn't accuse you of anything. Her voice remained quiet. I said they matched. Adrian watched them. That distinction mattered. Marco returned. His face told Adrian something was wrong before he spoke. The Cadillac is registered to Meridian Protection Services. Adrian's jaw tightened. Meridian was a security subcontractor used by one of their logistics subsidiaries. The Mercedes? Leased through a shell company. Still tracing it. And the Navigator? Marco hesitated. Registered to a company controlled by Rinaldi Holdings. The room became silent. Emily looked at Vincent. Vincent looked at Adrian. My brother uses that company. Adrian said nothing. Adrian, I heard you. You know what this looks like. Yes? Vincent stepped closer. Then you also know anyone could have arranged this. Emily watched Adrian. She expected anger. Instead, he became calmer. That frightened her more. Marco, Adrian said. Take Miss Carter somewhere safe. No. Everyone looked at Emily. She swallowed. I have a flower shop. Adrian stared at her. Someone followed you. Which means somebody knows where I work already. Exactly. So hiding me won't solve it. It will keep you alive while I solve it. Emily's expression changed. You don't get to decide where I live because I remembered a license plate. Adrian walked toward her. He stopped several feet away. You entered a meeting involving people who will not hesitate to remove a witness. I delivered roses. That distinction won't matter to them. It matters to me. For several seconds, they simply looked at each other. Adrian was accustomed to people understanding when an argument had ended. Emily apparently had not received that education. I'll have security outside your shop. No. 2 men. No. 1. No. His eyes narrowed. Emily took a breath. If somebody stands outside my store looking like federal witness protection, customers will stop coming in. You're concerned about customers? I'm concerned about rent. Something about the simplicity of that answer stopped him. She wasn't being brave for effect. Her world genuinely contained problems that existed completely outside his power struggles. Adrian looked toward Marco. Plain clothes. Across the street. Emily opened her mouth. They don't enter unless there is a threat. She studied him. You're terrible at compromise. I've been told. Frequently? No one more than once. Marco coughed. Emily wasn't sure whether that was a joke. With Adrian Moretti, she suspected it wasn't. Carter and Bloom occupied a narrow storefront on West 22nd Street, between a cafe and a tailor that had somehow survived every Manhattan rent increase since 1987. Emily inherited the shop from her aunt. The inheritance included $17,000 in unpaid supplier invoices, a refrigerator compressor that sounded like a lawnmower, and a landlord who believed plumbing repairs were philosophical rather than financial responsibilities. Emily loved it anyway. The next morning she arrived at 6. At 6:03, she spotted Adrian's security man across the street pretending to read a newspaper. Nobody under 40 read a physical newspaper at 6 in the morning unless they were hiding from someone. Emily walked over. You're terrible at this. The man lowered the paper. Miss Carter, what's your name? Daniel. Coffee? No, thank you. She handed him one. I made 2. He accepted it. At 7:30, a black sedan stopped outside. Adrian stepped out. Emily stared through the shop window. Daniel straightened instantly. Adrian crossed the street and entered. A bell chimed above the door. He looked deeply incompatible with the room. Buckets of peonies crowded one wall. Eucalyptus hung from hooks. The old wooden floor creaked beneath his expensive shoes. Emily was trimming hydrangeas. You sent your bodyguard breakfast? He looked hungry. He was working. People can work and eat. Adrian glanced around. Do you always open this early? Yes. Why? Flowers don't care about business hours. He looked at the bucket beside her. Those are dying. Emily stared at him. They're hydrangeas. They're drooping. They're dramatic. Adrian almost smiled. Then his expression returned to business. We traced the Mercedes. Emily put down her shears. And? It belongs to a consulting company associated with Carlo Vescari. She recognized the name. Everyone in New York who occasionally read newspapers did. Vescari owned shipping terminals, construction companies, restaurants, and enough politicians to make the ownership structure complicated. So your enemy? Competitor. That sounds diplomatic. It isn't. Emily wiped her hands on her apron. And Vincent claims the navigator was borrowed without his knowledge. Do you believe him? Adrian studied her. What do you remember about him? Emily hesitated. You came here because you want me to reconstruct the room. Yes. You have security cameras. Not inside that meeting. Why? Because men discussing confidential business dislike recordings. Convenient. For someone. Emily understood. Someone inside Adrian's organization had arranged the vehicles while ensuring the relevant cameras were disabled. What exactly do you want? Everything. She looked at him. From the moment you entered the hotel. Emily closed her eyes. Adrian watched. The doorman had a blue thread caught on his right sleeve. Concierge wore a gold tie clip shaped like a sailboat. Woman near the elevator had a red handbag with a broken zipper. Adrian said nothing. The first security man upstairs had a scratch beneath his left ear. The second wore brown shoes with a black belt. She opened her eyes. In the suite, there were 5 men besides you when I entered. Vincent was closest to the windows. 2 coffee cups. 1 water glass. Nobody had touched the pastries. Adrian's stare had become intense. Emily continued. Vincent's key was beside his right hand. He moved it after he noticed me looking. Anything else? The man opposite you received a text. Which man? Gray hair. Blue suit. Samuel. His phone screen lit up. Could you read it? No. Adrian nodded. Then Emily frowned. But I saw the reflection. His eyes sharpened. Where? In the glass tabletop. What did it say? Not words. A map. A map? A blue route line. Red destination marker. Adrian stepped closer. Where? I couldn't tell. He pulled out his phone. Marco, get Samuel upstairs. Emily stared. You believe me? Adrian looked at her. I believe what you notice. It was the first compliment he gave her. It affected Emily more than she wanted it to. For the next 4 days, Adrian found reasons to return. Some were legitimate. Most eventually weren't. Emily helped reconstruct movements around the hotel. She remembered uniforms, faces, parking positions, elevator numbers, logos, watches, shoes. More importantly, she remembered inconsistencies. A Belmont maintenance worker she had seen entering through the service corridor wore the wrong shade of burgundy on his uniform. A delivery truck carried a logo she remembered seeing on the Mercedes paperwork reflected in the hotel window. A man Adrian's security team identified as one of Vescari's drivers had actually been inside the florist shop 2 weeks earlier, ordering lilies under another name. Each detail widened the investigation, and each detail made Emily more valuable. Adrian initially told himself that was why he kept seeing her. Then on Thursday morning he arrived with breakfast. Emily looked at the paper bag. Is this evidence? No. Then why are you here? You skip breakfast. She stared. How do you know? You drink coffee until 11, and then eat something while standing. Emily slowly looked toward the sedan outside. Your men are reporting my eating habits? Adrian realized the mistake immediately. Emily, you're watching me. For security. You're recording when I eat. Daniel mentioned. That's worse. She stepped around the counter. You don't get to collect information about my life because somebody followed me. Someone may still be watching you. And your answer is to watch me harder? Adrian's jaw tightened. My answer is to make sure nothing happens to you, without asking what I want. Because what you want doesn't change the threat. No. It changes what you have permission to do. Silence filled the flower shop. Adrian was not used to being spoken to that way. Emily knew it. For a moment she wondered whether she had finally pushed too far. Then he asked, what would you permit? The question surprised both of them. Emily considered. Daniel can stay across the street during business hours. Adrian nodded. No one follows me home. His expression hardened. Emily, you asked, that isn't safe. Then give me a number to call. That won't help if... Adrian. He stopped. Protection isn't the same as control. Something shifted behind his eyes. She had found a place nobody around him usually touched. Finally he nodded. One car stays within 2 blocks. No visual surveillance unless you call. Emily Sahil. That's still surveillance. It's the compromise I can live with. You really are terrible at this. Yes. She looked at the breakfast bag. What did you bring? Bagel. What kind? Sesame. Cream cheese on the side. Emily stared. It was exactly what she ordered from the cafe. Adrian realized that information probably came from surveillance too. Daniel told me. Emily burst out laughing. The sound caught him completely off guard. For the first time since entering the shop, Adrian smiled. It changed his face. Emily immediately wished she hadn't noticed. 2 evenings later, she attended a private event at the Belmont because Adrian needed her to identify a man from the original hotel meeting. Emily hated the dress he sent. Not because it wasn't beautiful, because it was expensive. She returned it. Then she arrived wearing her own dark green dress, simple and flattering, with her curls loose around her shoulders. Adrian was waiting in the lobby. He forgot what Marco was saying. Only for a second. Marco noticed. Emily approached. You sent me a dress. I did. I sent it back. I noticed. I have clothes. Adrian's casa lingered on her. Yes. The single word made warmth climb into her cheeks. He offered his arm. She looked at it. Is that necessary? No. Emily took it anyway. The ballroom upstairs glittered beneath chandeliers. Politicians mingled with developers, union executives, attorneys, hotel owners, and men whose businesses never appeared on invitations. Emily felt Adrian's world rearrange itself around him. Conversations changed when he approached. People smiled more carefully. Doors opened before he touched them. Nobody made him wait. For the first time, Emily understood the scale of his power, and she disliked how lonely it looked. "Do you enjoy this?" she whispered. "No." "Then why come?" "Because absence communicates more than presence." She glanced at him. "That sounds exhausting." "It is." Across the ballroom, Vincent Rinaldi appeared. Emily felt Adrian's body become subtly rigid. Vincent approached. "You brought the florist." Emily smiled politely. "The florist has a name." "I remember." His smile didn't reach his eyes. Adrian stepped slightly closer to her. "Not touching." "But there." Vincent noticed. So did Emily. "Have you remembered anything else useful?" Vincent asked. Emily looked at him. "Yes." His expression shifted. She let the silence stretch. Then she said, "Your cufflinks don't match." Vincent looked down. One was black onyx. The other appeared nearly identical. "Nearly. The left one has a silver edge," Emily said. "The right has platinum." Vincent smiled. "You really do notice everything." Something about the way he said it unsettled her. Later, Adrian found her alone on a balcony overlooking Manhattan. "You're cold." "I'm fine." He removed his jacket. Emily shook her head. "No." He placed it over her shoulders anyway. She looked at him. That was an order disguised as manners. "I didn't say anything." "Exactly." He leaned against the railing beside her. For a while neither spoke. Then Emily said, "Vincent knew." Adrian turned. "Knew what?" "That I remember things." "He knows now." "No." She shook her head. "He knew before tonight." "How?" "The way he said it." Adrian waited. Emily closed her eyes, replaying their first meeting. Vincent's key. His expression. The vehicles. Then something else surfaced. The flower order. Her eyes opened. "Who ordered the roses?" Adrian frowned. "I assumed the hotel." "They didn't." "How do you know?" "The order came through our website." "Name?" "Anonymous corporate account." "When?" "Yesterday morning." Emily froze. "No." "What?" "The original order came the morning of the meeting." "Yes. But the card." "What card?" "There wasn't one." Adrian watched her. "That's unusual?" "For 48 garden roses costing almost $600. "Very." Her heartbeat quickened. "Someone needed me in that suite." Adrian straightened. The implications settled between them. The flowers had never mattered. Emily had. The investigation changed that night. Adrian's people traced the flower purchase. The payment bounced through multiple accounts before ending at a corporate expense card belonging to Meridian Protection Services, the same company connected to the Cadillac. Someone had deliberately sent Emily to the Belmont. But why? Adrian increased security. Emily protested. This time he didn't argue. He explained. That distinction mattered. 3 days later, they found the answer. It came from Emily herself. She was standing in Adrian's private office at Moretti Tower, studying printed photographs from traffic cameras. Marco had placed 12 images across a table. Emily looked at them for almost 10 minutes. Then she moved 3 together. Cadillac. Mercedes. Navigator. What? Adrian asked. They wanted me to see these. We know. No. She looked at him. You think they wanted me to identify the vehicles afterward? Yes. They wanted me to remember them before anything happened. Adrian frowned. Emily pointed at the photographs. The Cadillac parked illegally directly opposite the florist entrance before following me. She touched the Mercedes image. This one passed the Belmont twice while I was unloading. Then the Navigator. This one circled the block. They were exposing themselves. Marco understood first. They wanted a witness. Emily nodded. Adrian became very still. To what? That, Emily said, is what we haven't seen yet. The answer arrived 20 minutes later. Samuel rushed into the office carrying a tablet. A confidential transportation manifest had been leaked to Carlo Vascari. It showed 3 Moretti-associated vehicles transporting equipment near a Vascari-controlled warehouse the night before. A major fire destroyed millions of dollars in cargo. The vehicles listed were Clear 7294, Votiot MGX, Jeffbay, 4417. Emily stared. They're framing you. Adrian shook his head. No. He looked at her. They're framing you. She felt cold. He continued. If Vascari investigates. He finds an independent civilian who remembers seeing all 3 vehicles connected to my people. Emily understood. Her memory wasn't helping expose the conspiracy. Her memory was part of it. Someone had studied her. Someone knew exactly what she could do. And they had planted images inside her mind, like evidence. The midpoint truth changed everything. Emily wasn't an accidental witness. She had been selected. The realization terrified Adrian more than any threat directed at himself. Someone had researched Emily Carter, her routines, her work, her unusual memory, perhaps for weeks, perhaps longer. Adrian ordered Marco to pull everything: florist orders, customer records, street cameras, delivery routes. Emily watched him turning her life into an investigation. Stop. He didn't. Adrian, we need to know how they found you. You're doing it again. He looked at her. Doing what? Taking control. Someone targeted you. So explain what you need. I don't have time to negotiate every... Then you're not protecting me. His jaw tightened. Emily stepped closer. You're scared. The accusation landed harder than anger. Adrian stared at her. Of what? That they can reach something you can't control. Silence. Emily realized she had gone too far. Then Adrian quietly said, yes. She wasn't prepared for the honesty. He moved toward the windows. Manhattan stretched below. When people come after me, I understand the rules. His voice was quieter now. They attack businesses, contracts, routes, people who chose this life. Emily watched him. You didn't. He turned. And now someone knows your name because you delivered flowers to me. That wasn't your fault. It became my responsibility. No. She approached. That's the problem. He looked at her. You think responsibility means ownership? Adrian's expression hardened. I don't own you. Then stop making decisions as if you do. They stood only a few feet apart. Emily could hear her own breathing. Adrian's eyes dropped briefly toward her mouth, then returned to her eyes. For one dangerous second, she thought he might touch her. He didn't. Instead, he stepped back. What do you want? Emily swallowed. To help. No. Her expression sharpened. You asked what I wanted, and I'm answering. That isn't how asking works. Despite everything, Adrian nearly smiled. She continued, my memory got me into this. Someone used your memory. Exactly. Which means I may be able to see where they made a mistake. Adrian looked at her for a long time. Then he pulled out a chair. Sit. Emily raised an eyebrow. Please. That single word mattered more than he knew. She sat. The mistake appeared at 2 a.m. Emily had been reviewing 6 months of flower shop orders. Most looked ordinary. Weddings, birthdays, corporate receptions, funerals. Then she saw a name. Daniel Mercer. Wait. Adrian looked up from the sofa. What? Emily scrolled backward. Daniel Mercer ordered lilies 3 months ago. So? He came into the store. Her pulse quickened. I remember him because he asked for 12 white lilies, but kept looking at the security mirror. Marco approached. Emily searched again. He ordered roses 6 weeks later. Another search. Orchids last month. Adrian stood. Same payment? No. Emily's eyes moved rapidly across the receipts. Different cards. Different names. How do you know they're him? The addresses. She pointed. They're all formatted the same way. Marco frowned. They're different addresses. The punctuation isn't. Emily enlarged the orders. Apartment numbers, written with a slash instead of a dash. State abbreviation followed by 2 spaces. Nobody notices because the information is different. Adrian stared at the screen. But the pattern is the same. Yes. Marco began tracing accounts. Within an hour, they had 11 orders. 11 opportunities for someone to observe Emily. The trail finally led not to Carlo Vescari, not to a rival family, but to someone inside Adrian's own organization. Vincent Rinaldi. Adrian did not confront him. That surprised Emily. Instead, he invited Vincent to dinner, a private dining room at the Belmont, the same hotel where everything began. Emily hated the idea immediately. You want me there? Yes. A bit? No. She looked at him. Adrian Sahil. As a witness. Better. You'll be behind security glass. No. Emily. If Vincent sees me hiding, he'll know you know. Adrian hated that she was right. You stay beside me. Fine. You leave the moment Marco tells you. I decide when I leave. His eyes narrowed. She waited. Finally. Fine. Progress. The dinner began at 8. Vincent arrived at 8:07. He saw Emily beside Adrian and stopped. That was enough. Not proof, but enough. Interesting company, Vincent said. Emily smiled. I like the flowers here. Vincent sat. Adrian poured water. No alcohol. No raised voices. No weapons on the table. Power in Adrian's world rarely looked the way movies imagined. Sometimes it looked like 3 people eating expensive food in absolute silence, while 20 armed men waited beyond closed doors. Adrian finally spoke. Carlo Vescari received a transportation manifest. Vincent didn't react. He thinks I destroyed his warehouse. That sounds like Carlo's problem. He has a witness. Vincent looked toward Emily. There. Half a second. Emily saw it. Adrian saw Emily see it. What witness? Vincent asked. Here. Vincent leaned back. Convenient. Yes. Adrian's voice remained calm. Very. Vincent smiled. You brought a florist into business she doesn't understand. Emily answered. No. You did. Silence. Vincent looked at her. Emily continued. You ordered the roses. His expression didn't change. You visited my store under different names. Nothing. You used different credit cards. Still nothing. But you kept typing addresses the same way. For the first time, something cracked. Tiny. A tightening beside his mouth. Emily knew. So what? Vincent said. Adrian leaned forward. So you studied her. Vincent looked at him. Then laughed. You think this is about a florist? No, Adrian said. I think it's about replacing me. The room changed. Vincent's smile disappeared. For 11 years, he had stood beside Adrian. 11 years watching contracts, loyalty, money, influence, and respect flow toward a man born into a position Vincent believed he had earned. His motive wasn't money. It was humiliation. He believed Adrian's empire survived because men like Vincent built it while Adrian inherited the name. So Vincent designed something elegant. Make Vescari believe Adrian attacked him. Provide an independent witness with extraordinary memory. Trigger retaliation. Let Adrian and Vescari destroy each other. Then Vincent would step into what remained. You were always good at seeing pieces, Vincent said quietly. He looked at Emily. But she sees patterns. Adrian's voice hardened. That was your mistake. No. Vincent smiled faintly. My mistake was letting you meet her twice. Emily felt Adrian's hand shift near hers beneath the table. Not grabbing. Not claiming. Just there. She touched his fingers. Once. His entire body became still. Vincent noticed that too, and smiled. There it is. Adrian's eyes became cold. What? The weakness. Emily removed her hand. Vincent leaned back. You spent your entire life making sure nobody mattered enough to use against you. His eyes moved toward Emily, and then a florist walks into a hotel. Adrian stood. The doors opened. Marco entered with security. Vincent did not resist. As he was escorted away, he looked back at Emily. You remembered exactly what I needed you to remember. Emily met his gaze. Yes. Then she looked at his cufflinks. But you forgot something. Vincent stopped. The mismatched cufflink. His face changed. Emily turned to Adrian. The right one wasn't a cufflink. Marco removed it. Inside was a miniature storage device. Vincent's composure finally disappeared. The drive contained copies of communications, transportation records, shell company transfers, and draft messages intended to be sent after Adrian and Vescari went to war. Vincent had carried the evidence of his own conspiracy into the room, because he assumed nobody would notice something as small as the edge of a cufflink. Emily had. The confrontation with Vescari happened the following afternoon. No gunfight. No burning warehouse. No dramatic execution. Just 2 powerful men sitting across from each other inside a private conference room, while lawyers, accountants, and security personnel verified evidence. Emily sat beside Adrian. Not behind him. Beside him. Vescari looked at her. So you're the florist. Emily nodded. So people keep telling me. You remember all 3 vehicles? Yes. Could you testify to that? Yes. Adrian's eyes shifted toward her. Emily continued. I would also testify that someone deliberately positioned them where I could see them. Vescari studied her. And you can prove that? Emily placed photographs across the table. The same Cadillac appears in reflections from 3 storefront cameras before the hotel meeting. She pointed. It repeatedly changed position to remain inside my line of sight. Another photograph. The Mercedes passed the hotel twice during the 4 minutes I was unloading. Another. And the navigator circled the block. She looked directly at Viscari. Those weren't operational movements. What were they? A performance. Viscari looked toward Adrian. For the first time, the hostility in his expression weakened. The war Vincent wanted never happened. His conspiracy collapsed not because Adrian possessed more men, or more money, or more influence. It collapsed because a florist remembered where 3 cars had been parked. Weeks passed. The danger disappeared slowly. Vincent faced charges through legitimate investigations triggered by financial evidence Adrian released through attorneys. Several Moretti companies underwent restructuring. Meridian Protection Services disappeared. The Belmont replaced its security contractors. Emily returned to flowers. At least she tried. Adrian still visited. At first he came twice a week. Then 3 times. Eventually, he stopped pretending he needed information. One rainy afternoon, he appeared carrying coffee. Emily looked up from a wedding centerpiece. No evidence? No. No suspicious vehicles? No. No criminal conspiracy involving peonies? Not today. She smiled. Then, why are you here? Adrian placed the coffee beside her. He didn't answer immediately. That was unusual. Emily waited. Finally, I wanted to see you. Her hand stopped. Adrian Moretti could negotiate with politicians without hesitation. He could make executives nervous with silence. Yet 4 simple words appeared to have cost him something. Emily looked down at the flowers. You could have said that 3 weeks ago. I know. Why didn't you? I wasn't sure I should. She looked at him. That's surprisingly considerate. Don't sound so shocked. I've seen your early work. He smiled. Then became serious. There is something else. Emily waited. I removed the security detail. She blinked. All of it? Yes. The car? Gone. Daniel? Back to actual work. Emily studied him. You're comfortable with that? No. The answer made her laugh softly. But you did it. Yes? Why? Adrian looked around the little shop. At the crooked shelves, the aging refrigerator, the handwritten delivery board, the place where Emily belonged before he entered her life. Because you asked me to. Her expression softened. He continued. I spent most of my life believing that if I had enough power, I could keep everything where I wanted it. He looked at her. People aren't things. No. I know that now. Emily swallowed. Adrian placed an envelope on the counter. She immediately frowned. What is that? An offer. I don't want your money. It isn't money. Inside was a contract. Moretti Hotels wanted Carter and Bloom as an independent floral supplier for 6 properties. Emily stared. The contract was substantial. More importantly, it was legitimate. Market rates. No exclusivity. No hidden control. She looked at him. You had lawyers write this. Yes. Why? Because you're good at what you do. And if I say no, then you say no. And if I never want to see you again? His face remained controlled. But Emily finally knew him well enough to see what it cost. Then I won't come back. There it was. The choice. No guards. No surveillance. No car waiting outside. No invisible hand rearranging her life. Adrian was willing to lose her rather than force her to remain inside his world. Emily folded the contract. I need to think about the business offer. He nodded. And the other thing? What other thing? She stepped closer. You wanting to see me. Adrian looked down at her. Rain tapped against the windows. For once there were no bodyguards inside. No witnesses. No enemies. No reason for him to remain except one. I don't need you anymore, he said. Emily's eyebrows rose. That might be the worst romantic sentence ever spoken. His mouth curved. You know what I mean. I want to hear you say it correctly. Adrian exhaled. Of course you did. I don't need your memory. He moved slightly closer. I don't need you to identify anyone. Closer. I don't need you to solve anything. Emily's heartbeat accelerated. Then? I want you here anyway. The honesty in his voice erased every clever answer she had prepared. Emily reached for his hand. This time, Adrian didn't move first. He waited. She intertwined their fingers. Choice. Then she kissed him. Quietly. Briefly. When they separated, Adrian rested his forehead against hers. Was that permission? Emily smiled. That was permission. 6 months later, The Belmont Hotel ordered 400 white garden roses for its anniversary gala. Emily nearly refused the order on principle. Instead, she charged them full price. She arrived shortly before sunset. The lobby looked exactly as she remembered. Same marble, same brass, same chandeliers. But this time nobody searched her flowers. Nobody escorted her upstairs. And nobody treated her like she had wandered somewhere she didn't belong. Carter and Bloom now supplied flowers to 3 Moretti properties, not 6. Emily had negotiated. Adrian had accepted. She still owned her shop. She still opened too early. She still occasionally brought Daniel coffee when he stopped by. And Adrian still appeared without convincing excuses. Emily finished supervising the arrangements and walked toward the lobby doors. Adrian was waiting. Not upstairs. Not inside a private suite. Waiting for her. He wore a dark suit and no tie. "You're early," she said. "You're late." "I was working. I noticed." They walked outside. A black sedan waited near the curb. Emily stopped. Adrian looked at her. "What?" She narrowed her eyes toward the vehicle. "New car?" "Yes." She looked at the plate. "New York. Mirt. Åseteles en usentes. Adrian opened the passenger door. Emily didn't move. He stared at her. "You've been looking at it for 2 seconds. 1.5. You memorized it?" "Obviously." Adrian shook his head. "Do you memorize every car you see?" Emily looked toward the street. For a moment she remembered 3 black vehicles. A Cadillac. A Mercedes. A Navigator. She remembered believing they were random. She remembered the hotel suite. The white roses. The tears Adrian misunderstood. The fear that followed. And the man who had once believed protection meant making every decision himself. Now Adrian stood beside an open car door. Waiting. Not ordering. Emily smiled. Only the ones worth remembering. Adrian looked at her for a moment. Then he laughed. Emily climbed into the car because she chose to. He closed the door gently behind her. And beneath the lights of Manhattan, the black sedan disappeared into traffic without another vehicle following it.